Visit abateservices.com for fast medical transcription service. This podcast episode is brought to you by AB Music Creative.
I was only a 15, 16-year-old kid being snuck into these parties to see it. And I was just learning how to spin. I was maybe a year or two in and just buying records. I'm still, of course, living at home. I grew up in Carson. But long story short, I got to meet him because a friend of mine that I went to church with introduced me. And she gave my mixtape to Jimmy and said, hey, my friend is just starting. He's really good. Give him a shot. And he listened to my tape. Within that week, he came to my house and he said, yo, your tape is really good. I would like to have you mix at one of my clubs. Because at that time, he had the biggest parties. He was doing the biggest events, especially for Filipinos, Asians. That was a big deal. It's almost equivalent of me being on Los Angeles radio at the time. That kind of opportunity.
Welcome to the Pacos Place podcast. Rejuvenate your smile with Dr. Lourdes Capelong's comprehensive range of dental solutions. Along with general dentistry, Dr. Capelong specializes in cosmetic dentistry, including teeth whitening, bonding, dental veneers, and surgical crowns. Whether it's urgent care or preventive treatment, she'll take care of you and your smile. To schedule an appointment, call the clinic at area code 323-257-7582. Exciting news, guys! Our summer flight giveaway is officially here, and we are thrilled to offer you the chance to win one of 20 free flights. Whether you want to surprise your loved ones or treat yourself to a spontaneous getaway, this giveaway is perfect for you. Participating is easy. Simply download the SendWave app and register. Make sure to enter promo code Paco if this is your first time sending. From August 11th to September 8, 2023, send $300 or more using SendWave and you'll automatically be entered into the draw for a chance to win. But wait, there's more. To boost your chances of winning, for every additional $100 you send, you'll earn an extra entry into the giveaway. So the more you send, the higher your chances of winning a free flight. Don't miss out on this fantastic opportunity to send money with love and potentially win a memorable flight experience. Download the SendWave app, enter the giveaway, and get ready to embark on an incredible journey. But right now, let's go for an incredible podcast. And the podcast will begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, live at Paco's Place, Mr. Icy Dacio.
Yes.
Also known as DJ Icy Ice. There you go. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I know it's been a long commute from where you are.
Oh, that's no fun. Now, we drive everywhere, so no
Cheers.
problem. Yeah, cheers. Get to enjoy some whiskey with you. Yes.
I wanted to ask you because legend has it that as a DJ during your younger days, you guys spearheaded a movement wherein you would create your own scene as opposed to waiting for other people to give you a break. You guys, you meaning you and your friends, created your own break. And the reason when I heard that, it got me excited to actually be face to face with you because there are people who are waiting for opportunities.
Yes.
And there are people who create their own opportunities.
Yes.
What was going through your head and through your friends' heads? And during what time was this? And what actually made you guys start to do what you do?
Okay, so the time frame of this was in the late 80s, early 90s. We were very, very young. We're still maybe 16, 17. But there were guys that mentored us that were in their 30s, 40s, and they were running the scene. And so these were the first wave Filipinos that came in. They were living over there in the Rampart area of Los Angeles.
Apartments. Yeah.
Well, not the apartments, but Rampart, like like over there in downtown historic Filipino town.
Yes.
And the only event really for Filipinos was the Bayanihan. Bayanihan was the only restaurant, club, type thing that Filipinos had to go to.
Even local celebrities from the Philippines would come to the States and hang out at the Bayanihan.
Yes,
right? Yeah.
yes. And so at that time, in the 80s, my mentor, Jimmy Corpus, he was the one that spearheaded and started Spectrum Productions. And then he was doing, we weren't really allowed to do clubs in Hollywood. Those were reserved for certain ethnicities, and Asians and Filipinos were not really welcome to do these clubs in that time period. And so to create his own scene, to create his own nightclub experience, he would rent ballrooms. He would rent ballrooms right there in Los Angeles, and the most prevalent one that he started was at the Hyatt Hotel, the Hyatt downtown Los Angeles, which is now knocked down. It's a big high rise now, but back at that time, Hyatt nightclub or Hyatt Regency downtown Los Angeles was the spot where 1,000 to 1,200 Filipinos would get together on a Saturday night, and he would have a ballroom, 2 ballrooms, nightclub style with the lighting, everything. I was only a 15, 16-year-old kid being snuck into these parties to see it. And
But were you spinning at the time?
I was just learning how to spin.
Okay.
I was maybe a year or 2 in and just buying records. I'm still, of course, living at home. I grew up in Carson at that time. But long story short, I got to meet him because a friend of mine that I went to church with, she introduced me. And she gave my mixtape to Jimmy and said, "Hey, my friend is just starting. He's really good. Give him a shot." And he listened to my tape. That very next, within that week, he came to my house and he said, "Yo, your tape is really good. I would like to have you mix at one of my clubs." And
how'd you feel when he said that?
I mean, it was because at that time he had the biggest parties. He was doing the biggest events, especially for Filipinos, Asians, and that was a big deal. It's almost equivalent of me being on Los Angeles radio at the time, that kind of opportunity. And so, yeah, I mean, I was really, really young, 16, first time DJing these 21 and over parties, and those were our nightclubs in that time because they were in hotel ballrooms.
How did it feel doing that, knowing full well you were a minor? Did your parents allow you to do this, or did you snuck in?
They allowed me because I went with my older cousins. My older cousins took me. My parents didn't take me, but my older cousins did. So yes.
How long before you giving your friend your mixtape so she could probably chance upon giving it to Jimmy? How long have you been spinning?
Roughly maybe 2 years. 2 years up to that point.
What gear were you using?
Well, I was able to buy one turntable. I was able to secure one turntable. My dad would not outright buy me a whole DJ system at that time because it was very expensive. But yeah, he let me work for it, and I was able to get one turntable.
So one turntable, one mixer.
And then my neighbor, a few doors down, he bought the mixer. And then my other neighbor, he bought the other turntables. So the 3 of us combined, we had our basic DJ system. And then we didn't even have speakers at that time. We just had a little boom box that we connected into, and that was our speakers. But
Wow.
yeah, we just learned. We bought the records, practiced our craft, continue to get better. And then when the opportunity came up, then we were able to take advantage of that opportunity.
People think spinning is easy. I mean, I've tried it. Especially during our era, the 80s. It's not like today. It's digital where you can just press set and it's right there. This one, no. You have to put a tape on it, right?
It's a lot easier now in 2023.
During our time, it's
in the 80s, we were talking vinyl.
They really need to put markers on.
You have to have markers. You have to have good needles because if the needle would skip,
yes,
It wasn't digital to where you just push a button and then it would automatically blend a record. That
Right.
time you had to really use your ears and really feel the beat and mix it, like mix it just continuously.
Understand the grid on the side of the turntable, how it's
Yes.
how it's moving, all those stuff. You're as a DJ, and as a musician, as a DJ, one of the things that's important to us is to be able to crowd read.
Yes.
Even if during our own rehearsals we have our repertoire, we should be able to call audibles and read the crowd and move accordingly. How early on in your career did you realize you had to do that?
Oh, very early on. That's one of the first things. Music selection is number one. But number two is how to keep a dance floor. You have to be able to read that crowd.
Yes.
You have to see how they're reacting to certain songs. If they're feeling it, they show you by their dancing, their singing, their facial, all of that. They really show you. If they're not feeling the song, if they don't, it's the worst feeling. They'll just either walk off the floor,
Right.
or if they're nice, they'll stay on the floor. But then their mood and they're just going through the motion.
And you know what? When that happens, you only have one more song, right?
Yeah,
one
to
more
recover.
song to recover, or else.
You can recover it, or you lose the whole dance floor, and then it's hard to rebuild.
Has that happened to you?
Lots of times. Lots of times, yes.
I would let's epitomize that and put that in terms of people who are not DJs, because it's actually a reflection of how life goes, right? There are times people are feeling you. There's a groove.
Yes.
And there are times people just don't get you, they leave. But you as the DJ, the music has to go on. If it's your spot, it's your spot. And then like what you said, you have to learn how to recover.
Yes.
What was the mindset like, especially as a teenager? What was the mindset?
Well, as a teenager, we're just trying our best to just show our skill and make a name for ourselves. Really, we just trying to do anything we can to make the crowd remember us.
Right.
But in this day and age, of course, now it's all about the party. It's about the atmosphere. It's about the vibe. It's about how you make people feel. You want people walking away with like, wow, that was an incredible set.
The experience, right?
The experience, yes. But at that time, when you're younger, you're just trying to show off. You're just trying to do anything that you can to make people think of you or remember your name.
So high school, did you ever think that you were going to do this professionally?
No, I didn't think. It was just a hobby. My mom and dad were just allowing me to just do it as a hobby. And then, they, because I learned instruments growing up. I played the saxophone, played the piano, played the violin.
Wow.
But yeah, when they saw me playing the turntables, they were like, oh, okay, that's just a little cool little hobby. They allowed me to buy some vinyl, buy some records, cassettes, things like that. They never thought in their wildest dreams that they came to America, sacrifice everything so their son can become a DJ. They're just like, of course, most Filipino parents, they want you to be a professional. They want you to be some kind of professional.
Exactly, right? So what was the dining room conversation like?
Oh, well, I mean, like years and years. It was my hobby, my friends. They thought it was a cool way of me making some money, earning a little something, so so that we can have fun. And it's me having time with my friends, my cousins, things like that. They never thought that was going to be my career.
When did you realize in your head that it was going to be your career?
When I had the opportunity to make it on Los Angeles radio.
I want to hear that story. How did that opportunity come about?
So that opportunity, okay, years and years of DJing, years and years
How
of
many
doing
years?
clubs. I was probably 8-9 years in at this point.
Wow.
And okay, so I was maybe 15, 16 when I first started, and then it was about 25, 26 when I got my first break in radio. But at this point, we were already doing a lot of clubs.
Okay.
And so we were doing all the clubs in the ballrooms and hotels and different things like that. But in the 90s, it shifted. Asians became kind of a cool crowd to have in their club because, hey, this crowd drinks. Hey, this crowd spends money. Hey. So, you know, it was either black or white or Latino that dominated your Friday, Saturday nights.
Yes.
So they gave us Filipinos and Asians the off nights. They would give us a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Sunday.
and a Sunday.
Yeah.
So they would give us those in the premium clubs in Hollywood, you know? And so when we finally worked our way up to doing a Thursday or a Sunday, we would pick like a holiday Sunday or something so that there's no work on Monday.
Right.
Yeah, it was just years and years of building up our own clubs until we got to that point. And it was when I was attending these record meetings, you know, they would invite you. They would invite you to these record labels.
Yes. When was this? In the 90s already?
This was in the 90s, mid-90s already, 95, 96 maybe. And
Somewhat like a junket kind of...
And so, yeah, I was part of a record pool, and that record pool allowed us as members to come to these larger meetings at Motown Records or Interscope Records or whatever label. So my first opportunity was I went to Motown Records. I met some of my radio DJ heroes that I listened to on the radio growing up. I would listen to them religiously, mixing their music on air, and a lot of my style came from them, listening to them and kind of copying and making my style out of their style. But I got to meet them at Motown Records, and at that point I said, oh my God, I have a club that I do, you know, like Asians, you know, like Filipinos. We have a good scene. You got to come check it out. And we were at Prince's nightclub at that point. We were doing Glam Slam, which was Prince's nightclub, 333 Boylston, right there in downtown Los Angeles.
That's a big place.
Big spot, yeah. So he was impressed. He's like, "Wow, you guys are in this spot on a Thursday night, and you're pulling 1,500 people. Okay, I'm gonna check this out." So Julio G, to his credit, he came out. He took me up on my invite. Came out and he was just blown away. He's just blown away seeing Filipinos rocking to hip hop, R&B, you know, funk, reggae, you know, just
everything,
all these different styles of music. And he's like, because he's thinking Asians are into house or they're into dance or even new wave or anything else but all those different genres. And when he saw that, it was just he blew his mind. And so at that point, Julio G was working under Eazy-E at 92.3 The Beat. And Eazy-E unfortunately passed away. And so Julio G took over his time slot. And he gave an opportunity to up-and-coming DJs to spin on the air. And,
so not specifically you or...
well, specifically our group, the Beat Junkies.
Yeah.
He gave an opportunity to first. So Melody was the world champion at that point. He gave Melody a slot, and then I was right behind him, and he gave me an opportunity.
When you say world champion, are we talking DMC?
Yes, DMC.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't exactly DMC at that time. It was Vestex, which was the sister
of DMC.
Of DMC, yes.
And then, so now you're on the radio, finished with college or dropped out of school?
Well, I started in the radio, and then that delayed my college and delayed. And then, years later, I didn't finish. Sorry, you guys. Sorry, I didn't finish.
What did your parents say at this point?
They were disappointed because, of course, they want you to finish. And, you know, like my parents, they sacrifice everything for me and my sister to come here and become professionals and have a better life in their eyes, you know?
Right.
And better life was not musician life or DJ life or music life, because my grandpa was a musician and they know that life. And he had to become a police officer or police to make ends meet and stuff like that. But yeah, they envisioned something else for me. They didn't envision DJing.
Were there any regrets not pursuing a degree?
No regrets on my end. I hated school.
So now you were doing this. When did you begin to actually tell yourself? When did you begin to tell yourself that, you know what, this is it. This is going to be my journey and I'm going to fully commit to it? When did that happen?
So when I made it onto 92.3 The Beat, especially when I was asked to do a daily set. So I started.
Daily set.
I started on Friday nights. Julio G gave me my start, and he allowed me to do every Friday, and that went on for maybe 5-6 months. And in that 5-6 months, I would literally go to the station 3-4 hours earlier than my set, walk around, meet everybody, meet the general managers, meet the salespeople, meet everybody throughout the office, accounting, everybody, just to get to know everyone.
Yeah.
But as I saw that and I'm meeting everybody in the different departments, I'm like, man, this is a corporation. This is a business. This is a real, legitimate thing. And so the air personalities, of course, were the main, the
frontliners.
They were the
right?
frontliners.
Yeah.
They were your stars. And then us as the DJs, we were secondary, because we were still on air. And but I wasn't the one talking.
Yes.
Julio G and Theo and all these guys were the ones talking.
Yes.
And so they were the stars. We were supplementary, or we were the co-stars to them, So, but I knew that there was a future in it, because then, after seeing how a radio station operated and seeing everything, and then being invited to other record labels and things, I saw that there was a career path here, that you could do something and make it a career.
That word, do something, that action verb, no, do something. You seeing it for what it could be, and not just what it was. Why do you think other people shy away from taking that kind of risk? And I'm talking to you in terms of our culture, the Filipino in general, right?
Okay, so if we're talking about Filipinos in general, it's just frowned upon by our parents, our grandparents, our family. It's more open now, because we've broken the doors open, and we have a lot more stars,
Right.
That have made it. But in the time when we first started, it was frowned upon. Again, success to our culture is being a professional,
A lawyer,
having some
doctor,
kind of title.
Yeah.
DJ,
that's a title.
No, well, it's not a prevalent, or it's not a elite title in
Really?
But the funny thing is, that title of DJ took me around the world. It had me DJing parties at Forbes Park. It had me meeting all the Cuadesmas and Martin Rivera's and everybody. Like,
how did you break doors with regard to that? So it brought you to the Philippines also.
Mm-hmm.
You left the Philippines at how old? How old were you when you left?
Oh, it was my parents that came here. I was born here.
So you were born here.
Born in Los Angeles.
So when you went back to the Philippines, boy, right? American boy.
And so I experienced the you're an amboy, you're American boy, you can't speak any kind of Tagalog. And then on top of that, I'm, I grew up Ilocano. I'm very dark. I'm everything opposite of
right?
what's successful in our culture. It's crazy. If I don't have the light skin, I can't speak Tagalog. Yeah, it was frowned upon,
So,
and this is in the 90s.
And that was a new challenge for you.
That was another challenge. Yeah, I'm just like, wow, like,
damn. How'd you deal with it?
This is a trip. Like, yeah, man.
Okay,
like,
there you go. How'd you face it head on?
Oh, I enjoyed it. My manager that took me to the Philippines and experienced all of that.
Who was your manager?
His name was Pete Salgado.
Okay.
Pete Salgado. He eventually, he's rest in peace. He passed away. But at that time, he was the first one to take me to Manila and have me do the nightclubs.
When Pete said, "I'm taking you to the Philippines," what do you say?
I was excited.
So it was just euphoria, all this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still in my 20s, and I'm like, oh man, I've never, I've only been to the Philippines with my parents, and I was only when I was 7. And the only thing I remember is we were in the province, and
in Ilocos.
In Pangasinan.
Pangasinan,
okay. Yeah.
Okay, so now you're doing the Makati scene and all this, right?
And then, I mean, he was the one that had me DJing on Martin Rivera's show. He had me doing he had me doing all these different things, and I'm DJing in Forbes Park. It's a mansion and just crazy stuff, you know. But yeah, that was a trip. The barrier again because of you know how they perceive you.
Were you single still at this time?
I was, yes.
So how old you were? You were in your 20s, I would assume, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So now, how long did that Philippine stint last?
Oh, that was only I would just go back, play a week, 2 weeks, and then come back home. Or I would do a trip, like I'd go Philippines, hit Japan, hit China, hit Australia, come back. Just mini tours.
Right.
Because I was already working in radio at that time.
So that was the career now, right? Radio. When did you figure out that, you know what, there's more to radio than who I am? And the reason why I say that, your name has, how do I say it, has crawled into a lot of people's, not culture, but maybe journey, you know? And that's what got all of us excited to be here in the studio with you, because other people would just say, yeah, DJ party and blah, that's it. But your resume is deep, which means that's the reason why I asked about your parents, their disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have to prove this to them or to yourself, or what was the goal? What was Isaiah's goal?
Well, my goal was to make it as a DJ by any means necessary. I wanted to. That was my passion. I loved it. I loved music. I didn't want to do anything else. I didn't see myself working in an office, any of that, you know, none of that. But yeah, with my parents, of course, there was disappointment. There was it was a letdown because they want to see me have success in their eyes, and this was a totally different type of success to what they're accustomed to.
But in your eyes, did you see yourself as a success in the 90s?
Yeah, by far, yes. Because when you're able to be in the number 2 market in the whole United States, and you make your way onto one of the top 2 medias, there was only TV and there was only radio at that time.
Yeah.
No social media, no internet, nothing else. And all our entertainment funneled through those 2 things, TV or radio. For me to be one of the first Filipinos in Los Angeles to break radio, to create a nightclub scene and help break artists and different things, and to help push our culture forward, it was successful in my eyes, successful in a lot of people's eyes.
You know, it's very inspiring the way you're setting it up now, because I was going to go to my next curiosity question, which is, now that you had clout, other people would embrace that clout and just keep it to themselves, but it came from you. You used your clout to break other artists, to push the community, and all of that. Where did that come from? Was that the goal? Was that the plan? Or was that just the natural process of things? Or was that innately you? Because not everybody does that.
Well, I got to attribute my parents were very, 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 I got that from them because, whatever success they acquired here in the States, they were always giving back to family in the Philippines. They were always sending money. If any relative was in trouble, they would go and rescue, or someone get caught at the border, they'd go and take them out with their own money, and, they did anything they could to help. So
you were exposed to that.
I exposed to that. Okay. My uncle, tried to cross the border, went into Mexico, tried to cross the border. He got caught. They had to bail him out, almost $10,000, and they have to get him, but they took care of him. He's family. They let him stay. I was exposed to that type of love and support for just others, Yeah. And then on top of that, I think my other turning point was when I was just getting into radio. A friend of mine I just met at that time was Mark Polito. Mark Polito is the former mayor, just last year, former mayor of Cerritos.
Yes.
And he instilled in me in that time. He was at UCLA at that time, and he was the first Filipino Asian student body president at UCLA.
Wow.
He was telling me the importance of, helping our community, pushing our community forward, how everybody has their roles, everything from the professionals to entertainers to, everybody has their role to push our community forward. And he really instilled in that to me super early, super young. And I'm grateful that he had that kind of talk with me and really instilled that in me. And so yeah, when I experienced success, I was also trying to open up doors. So when I first made it on radio at 92.3 The Beat, E-Man was already at Power 106. I was at 92.3 The Beat. Funny thing was, E-Man was trying to bring me into Power 106.
Did you ever go? You went, right?
So the funny thing was, E-Man was working over there I was there on his audition. I was there when he was just making his way in. He finally made his way in, and then a year, within that first year, he was trying to bring me in.
While you were at 92?
No, he was trying to bring me in.
106.
At 106 before I even made it on 92.
Oh, wow.
But then the opportunity where I met Julio opened up, and then it's like this door open and this door open. Which one will you choose? Well, I chose the opposite, and obviously he's now the boss of Power 106, and he's one of the most powerful figures in music radio.
Yeah.
And I made my mark through what I did too in my path.
So now, turn of the century, the millennium.
Yes.
You're in radio. You mentioned a while ago off cam, 2010 is when you settled down?
Actually 2004 is when I settled down.
When you settled down. When did you know it was time to settle down? I mean, and the reason why I'm setting it up again is because in our world, there's a plethora of opportunities left and right. But at some point, we have to know that, you know what? We got to land this thing or move on to the next chapter. And not everybody knows how to turn the page to the next chapter.
Yeah.
How did yours come?
So, again, growing up in a very not a very big family, not a very big family, but I grew up seeing loving parents, and they're still together and still alive at this time. Amen. And everything.
Shout out.
Yeah, and so I grew up around that, and I knew I wanted a family. I knew I wanted kids. I just, your opportunities yes, there was lots of opportunities, but I was always that type that I like to be in a relationship. I liked having one solid person next to me, not dating multiple people like that.
Your wife, what's her name?
Heidi.
Shout out Heidi.
Yes.
How did you know that Heidi was going to be the supportive one for the rest of your life? And the reason why I'm asking this is because people have come up to me and asked me the same question. I have a girlfriend or I have a boyfriend, but as soon as I'm in a relationship, I'm not allowed to be in entertainment anymore or all that stuff. I'm like, ooh.
That's your number one red flag right there. If they don't allow you, then that's a red flag already. But to answer your question, I didn't know it at the time, but there were certain qualities that I was always looking for in a woman, and like when I met Heidi, it's just I knew she was the one. I knew that she would be the one to support me in everything, And then she had this way of encouraging me, uplifting me. If I was angry or I was going through something, she had this calming effect on me. So I just knew that she would balance me out. And then the things I didn't know at the time was how structured she was or how she would handle business, right, so that I can be who I am. But that's stuff I found out later. But yeah, if you're going to find someone that's going to be your partner for life, you want someone that's going to balance you out. You want someone that's going to have your back in everything. Someone that has that calming effect. Someone that that will love you unconditionally with everything and love you and all your stuff
Right?
and your junk in their eyes. You're like, oh my God, you're just another piece of equipment. Because us as musicians,
Yes.
we're audio.
Yes.
Like we always have to have the cutting edge, or we always have to have the newest thing, or we're always tinkering with
Right?
things, or we're collecting things. She married all of that. And
Oh my God. How many kids do you have?
we have 4.
Okay. How old's your eldest?
My eldest is 17 now.
Anybody into music among the 4 kids?
They're all into music, but not into DJ music.
What do they do?
So they're all very artistic. I could see it in each of the kids. My oldest, he's awesome with the piano.
Okay.
And so I think he's very good with all the classical stuff. I'm trying to encourage him and get him more into the jazz, or even just being able to just freelance and play, on the spot, whatever. But yeah, he's awesome with jazz, and he's kind of an old soul. He's an old soul. He loves older music. He doesn't love any of this new stuff.
How about your second? He or she?
He.
He.
4 boys. I
4
have
boys. Good for you.
4 boys, yes. My second, he's 12, and he's just now middle school, but he's my cool kid. He's the one that's very trendy. He knows hip hop artists. He knows, and he dresses and everything.
So you guys have a conversation about music all the time?
No.
No.
I ask him about my kids. I always ask them about what's the coolest trend or what's the new thing with the kids, and they tell me, and so they always keep me up on trend.
So your third son, what does he do?
So my 3rd and 4th are twins,
Good for you.
and so those 2 are 10, and they're still young. They're still in 5th grade, still playing with toys and things like that. But they're very musical too. They're learning the piano as well, and then they mess with my violin, and I have my instruments at the house, and they like to mess with stuff.
Have they seen you spin
They see me spin every day.
in the house?
In the house. They see me spin every day in the house because my setup is basically my living room. I turned my living room into my studio.
So what if there's a party in the house, in your house? Are you the designated DJ? No.
No, I just play a playlist. I'm out there drinking with everybody, and I'm hanging out. Unless it's family or friends
Right.
that are also DJs and they want to DJ, then I'll DJ with them. But for the most part, if we have parties, I just play music, and then we're just hanging out. It's just like normal family.
Sige, let's go back to the 80s. Huh?
Okay.
What was on your mixtape?
Oh man, in the 80s, man, everything from Push It, Salt and Pepper to Supersonic to Afro-Rican, MC Shy D, all that type of stuff. Like I loved all that fast Miami hip hop, like
More cowbell, please.
Yeah, all of that. I love all of that.
And then-
But I also I loved all forms of music, but yeah, the stuff that I would spin and the stuff that we would play in the clubs was mainly hip hop, R&B, Miami bass,
Yeah.
funk, soul, reggae, all of that type of stuff.
How many records in your collection?
I sold off a lot of my collection, over half,
Why?
because it was just taking up space in the garage. My garage, I have double this garage right here, and I just had rows all the way down, and so I got rid of one whole wall of records.
Was it hard?
It was hard, but at the same time I knew I had to, because it's just sitting. I wasn't utilizing any of it. And then I still have walls, and I still don't even touch that. The only stuff I touch are what's in my actual studio. That's all just my storage.
So that being said,
But okay, so
Okay.
when I moved into our house, I had my fraternity brothers, all the recruits. I had 25 guys helping me move all my records. We moved over 450 crates.
Crates.
And in a crate is like 100 plus records. Yes.
Oh my God.
And then so, yeah, I probably got rid of half of that. And I'm still at 200 something crates.
Ooh, do you know what your most expensive vinyl is?
No, I don't. I don't keep up with any of the prices, or I don't look up anything online. I just... But I know I've got I have 30 plus years of vinyl that's sitting there, stuff I bought as brand new.
First issue,
still,
right?
Still pristine, or, still good condition. But I'm hearing, there's all kinds of different things that help evaluate, vinyl and things like that. But I don't take the time to look at any of that.
Let's talk gear. So what turntables do you have now? Are you using digital now? No.
No, yeah, I do use digital for the controller. I use that for my mobile events, or smaller parties. But yeah, turntables, when I ask for my backline when I'm performing, I always ask for turntables. That's my preference.
What's your brand? Are you allowed to say it?
Techniques. That's the standard. But yeah, Pioneer is making some awesome turntables now where it's digital and vinyl. That's the newest one that they just released. My favorite controller is the Rev 7, the Pioneer Rev 7. But yeah, I love all kinds of gear. I always buy all the newest gear and test stuff out, or I get sponsored with stuff. So
now there's a difference between DJing, spinning, and just merely playing records. So if you're competing, you're doing all the on the fly live remixes and freestyling and all. How much preparation goes into that? Can you please take us through? Because I know, because Master of Disaster, good friend of mine, Noel, Lopi, DJ Ouch, good friend of mine. I play drums. He'd scratch, and we'd do that when we were kids.
Nice.
So I know how much effort goes into those things. But this is the first time that other people can hear it straight from you. When you're preparing for competition, how do you put markers, make sure that they're ready for being pulled out of the crate or wherever it is? How does that work?
Well, first off, let me clarify. I never competed.
Okay.
I never entered the DMC or any of that stuff. My crew did.
But then again, you're fully, compared to me. You know what goes on behind that, right?
Yes.
It's like a pit crew and a driver and all that.
But being in that type of crew, an elite, world-renowned turntablist crew, of course, being part of that crew, you're surrounded by guys with just world-class skills, and so their practice regimen was also my practice regimen.
Exactly.
Or like iron sharpen iron.
Yes.
We're there, we inspire, and then they go and take it another level, and then we go and try and up one up. So it's always like just kind of us sparring, or we're all like helping each other, that type of thing. But yes, in those years when they were heavily into competition, this was just hours and hours and days and weeks of just practice,
And then the counterweight of the needle, because if that thing jumps, right? If they're holding the turntable, scratching it, or doing whatever, that needle can. Please elaborate, because that's the.
So yeah, like we would of course we were still students, so we're going to school. As soon as school was out, we hit the garage. We're in a garage like this, where everything is closed. It's bright sunlight, all of that. By the time we get out, it's like 11, 12 o'clock at night, and we're still energized and we're still feeling good. But we've been practicing from the time we got out of school until it's time to go home, and we didn't finish our homework. We didn't do anything, but we got the latest scratch, or but we would sit there and analyze and break down a scratch, or we would help each other learn the movement, the hand movement, the fader movement.
Yes.
how to open up the fader at a certain point and bring back the record at a certain point just to get a certain type of sound. And so, yeah, the scratches to an average ear, it just sounds like scratching. But there's technicality in there. There's rhythmic patterns in there.
Yes.
There's syncopation, different things that you as a drummer would do. It's the same thing, but we're doing it rhythmically as a scratch.
And even your fingers have, like what you said, with regard to the mixer, the how you push the fader left and right.
Yes.
Right? And all that. Oh my God.
But yeah, I mean, the precision of doing that and getting it clean and cleaning it up even more and then putting it within a routine, and that routine being within a scope of a battle routine, it's everything is built upon each other.
So there are the turntablists, and there are the DJs who actually cater to an audience, right?
Yes.
You mentioned that you're supposed to be able to crowd read, and normally when you're at the party, there has to be a balance between DJ and audience. Can't be all about you, can't be all about them. Otherwise, just bring the USB and plug it in.
It depends, because if they're there for you, then you can get busy and you can go into your solos and you can go and bust like you could bust routines and things like that, and people will cheer and love it and all of that. If you're at a regular club in Hollywood and they're not there for you, but they're there for the girls and the atmosphere and things like that, they don't want to see or hear any of that scratching or technical skills or any of that. They just said, play the music so I can get this girl's number,
Okay. So I was setting it up for a very important question.
Yes.
Ego. Because we need more. Because the way I see it, you're fully aware if it's about you or if it's about the venue.
Yes.
Right? How did you keep your ego in check?
I think experience,
so it did pop out sometimes, huh?
Oh yeah, you go and do it and then you just lose the crowd. And then so you're like, okay, I need to not get so technical or not get busy so much so that people can dance. And that's what I'm saying. If they're there for an event that you're specifically performing, cool. They're there for you. But if you're hired to play in a Hollywood or Orange County nightclub or something, and the crowd is not necessarily there for you, they're there for them and for their
event,
reasons and all of that. They're there to get some numbers, go home with a girl type of thing. They don't care about your technical ability. So that's where the difference, you got to know. Like you got to know your audience and who you're playing for. If you're just hired for a certain thing, then you play for that certain thing. But if you're hired to perform, then you perform.
Now, would you rather stay in the shadow or be in the spotlight?
I have fun with both. Because I'll get hired for a corporate event and I'm in the shadow and I'm the music, but they're not there for me. They're there for the corporate event. They're, like Dave Ramsey. I DJ for Dave Ramsey.
You did?
I DJ Dave Ramsey's entrepreneur.
In Tennessee?
Well, the one I did was here in San Diego.
Wow.
And that was just before COVID. But yeah, huge ballroom, packed with people. They don't care about me. But I'm there because I'm setting the tone. I'm setting the vibe. I'm getting everybody excited to lead up for the introduction of Dave Ramsey and the speakers and everyone that's there to learn about entrepreneurship and money and all of that stuff. But I love it.
Who gets to choose the music for that? You?
Me.
Wow.
Yeah. They hired me to play for that event, and I have full reign. I get to play everything. Of course, you're not going to go and play like the most ratchet hip hop, or you're going to play something ghetto or anything like that. You're going to play stuff that's very popular. You're going to play stuff that's very familiar, stuff that make people feel good. And then it is an older crowd, so yeah, I'll dabble into the 80s and 70s and 90s or whatever, and I take them on a ride.
So now, having a grasp on a playlist, how does that apply to life? Because our lives, we have playlists also, right? We have the soundtrack of our life. Knowing how to read a crowd, is it easier for you to socialize with people, to talk to your kids, to be with your wife, to jam with your parents? How does that translate?
In terms of a playlist, or
In terms of what you know in your world applied in your life. And I say this because when I ask you about your kids, when you were describing them, when you were describing Heidi, not everybody can say what you say. Because some people are successful in their career, but they're very estranged when it comes to family. How are you able to bridge that gap to be able to articulate it the way you did a while ago? So that's what I want to know.
I think the important thing is balancing both.
But how though?
So yeah, I mean, us as performers, us as entertainers, yeah, we get in that mode and we want to entertain and all of that. But when you're home, I'm just daddy. I'm just husband.
With gear in the living room.
With gear in the living room. But yeah, like again, I'm also their Uber driver. So I'm driving. I'm taking my kids to their practices. I'm taking them to school. I'm picking them up from school. I'm talking to them in those car rides. I'm instilling in them some confidence. I'm instilling in them some life lessons or things like that. We're going to their practice. I'm talking about team building or, being a good teammate or, things like that, But I when I say balance, it's like when you're in whatever mode you're in, whatever playlist you're in, if you're in the playlist of family, then you play those songs for your family. If you're in the playlist of being an entertainer, then you go full out and you go and entertain, But I think it's a balance. And then communication, like me and my wife, we talk all the time. We text all the time. We're always communicating. And so she's not, well, I mean, there's a lot of times where she doesn't know what I'm doing, or she has to look at my social media to see what's coming up next. But, for the most part, I let her know what's coming up, or, oh, I just booked this gig today, or, oh, I'm going to be on this podcast today, and I need you to take the kids to tennis lessons, or whatever,
Yes.
that type of thing. But it's communication. But when you're talking about the playlist, whatever playlist you're in, some of us like our slow jam playlist. You're in that mood. You're in that love mode, whatever. If you're driving and you want like a pick me up for the day, then you're in that playlist of like, something that's going to amp you up, right? And so likewise, if you're in that family playlist, be with your family. If you're in that entertainment playlist, be with your entertainment.
So let's land this. Last question. What's your theme song for yourself?
Oh, man.
I thought you were going to say push it. One song, what would it be?
Oh, man. There is no one song because I'm a DJ. Songs are my life.
Right? But if there was one anthemic, it doesn't have to be an anthem, but if there was one song that you'd probably go, yep.
Man, that's a good question. Never really thought about that one. But I think as you're saying this to me right now and all of that, and I'm just thinking of stuff that just makes me feel good. I don't know. I think I'd have to say like something Earth, Wind, and Fire, like Let's Groove, because I just want to make everybody groove.
Ladies and gentlemen, Isaiah Dacio. Woo! Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode. A lot of nuggets, a lot of inspiring messages and stories.